Let me take you back to the 1980s. Fender was importing guitars from Japan, and they did some reissues of vintage models going back to the 60s and the 50s. Well, now Fender is reissuing those reissues, and so we are here today to tell you about the Fender Japanese-made JV, Japanese vintage reissue guitars. We'll explain it all. Stay tuned. Hey, you're watching Alamo Music TV. My name is Chris McKee.
And I'm Cooper Greenberg.
We're here with Alamo Music Center in San Antonio, Texas. You can find us online at alamomusic.com. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, like our videos. If you'd like to support the channel, visit our spring store for our customized t-shirts and other swag. Or buy these guitars from our website at alamomusic.com. That's cool too. So these are reissues of reissues. They're vintage twice over, because you realize, this is sad for me, 80s stuff is vintage.
Before I was born, dude.
Knife to the heart. I was born in 81, so I'm an 80s baby. But I was too young for these at the time. But you know, prior to the mid-80s, Fender was no longer made in the US. So at the dawn of the 1980s, Fender instruments were being made in Japan and imported. Now, a lot of those guitars are highly sought after, highly regarded, and the guitars that are made in Japan for Fender to this day are extremely popular, particularly in foreign markets kind of on the other side of the pond. They do a lot of Japanese stuff, and we've been big fans here.
Yeah, I love the Japanese stuff. Actually, so we had a Japanese Tele in like last year, and one of our fellow employees said, you know how you can tell that it's Japanese just by looking at it? Have you ever noticed that?
The kind of squared off, yeah.
Yeah, and now it's like whenever I see a Tele that's like that, I'm like, that's a cool one.
There you go.
Yeah.
A little top tip for you.
Top tip.
So what Fender's doing with this new run, and as far as we know, this is a limited edition run for this year, is they are JV, which is not junior varsity, but Japanese vintage. And they are reissues of reissues. So basically, the Japanese guitars coming in the 80s, they were doing reissues of 50s and 60s stuff. And they've reissued those, and they've also given it some modern flair. Some of the stuff that we would prefer with a modified vintage type thing with modern appointments. So I have the one of two Strats in the mix. This is the 50s reissue JV. So it's a JV modified 50 Stratocaster is what they call this. HSS. So back in the 50s, there were no humbuckers on Strats, people. HSS is part of the modification along with some other stuff that we'll talk about. You've got one of the coolest colors.
This is absolutely one of my favorite guitars that I've had the pleasure of playing recently. This is Fire Mist Gold, first of all, JV modified 60s custom Telecaster.
And that is fire.
It's totally fire. And then I've also got the JV modified 50s Telecaster.
White with a gold anodized pick guard.
Is that white blonde? Because you can kind of
see the grain. Now, you can't see much of the grain, and this is part of the Japanese thing. These are basswood or basswood, depending on how you want to pronounce it. No, it's basswood, which you typically see on a lot of Japanese instruments from Fender and from other instruments. Like Ibanez guitars are often coming in with basswood bodies. It tends to be a very light resonant wood that is, I guess, more available to them. But the grain pattern is definitely different. It's a lot kind of straighter, paler, not a lot of swirling or moving grain pattern like we would typically see with alder, or even more so with ash, particularly on a kind of a transparent finish like this or that. But yeah, that's a really nice... It's almost like a subtle ghosting of the finish.
It's very cool. Also, you see it's got a gold anodized pick guard, and that's plastic on there. That's not you can see it's just came right out of the case. So when you get it, you can take off the plastic yourself for that satisfying part of getting a new guitar. But back to what I was saying.
So classic 50s Tele. This is a Tele custom, double bound.
Double bound Fire Mist Gold. How can you beat that, dude? That's so cool. I love that, and I think that this would be, for anyone out there that thinks the way I do, the perfect B-bender Telecaster. I've wanted a double-bound Tele with a B-bender really badly.
So you're going to buy JV modified 60s Fire Mist Gold and send it off to have a B-bender installed?
Absolutely, dude. I think that's a good plan.
I fully
this
support
would be a
that.
country machine.
Yeah, no, I'm an enabler. Go for it.
Really nice satin necks. Soft V on these bad boys. JV.
It's a very comfortable neck.
Yeah, I played a real hard V earlier today on a resonator.
That's not a
guitar.
euphemism. It was in the guitar. He's being serious. So let's talk about some things that are a little bit different on
You're
these.
juvenile.
So I just wanted people to understand. So so classic vintage style hardware, both on this with the tremolo. You've got the brass saddles on both of those, the ashtray style bridge. They are vintage voiced pickups is all that Fender has said. So I can't tell you any more about that, but they sound good. We like the way they sound. The radiuses on all of these, the radii, would be 9.5 inches, so a modern radius and medium jumbo frets. So you've really got, it's a very soft V. You've got a modern setup. You've got modern fret wire, vintage hardware, except for this.
He was gonna get there.
Yeah, I was gonna get here, but you're excited. I can tell. So it was funny actually because I forgot these came on here. We were talking about it in context to another Fender guitar. I was telling him, back in the late 2010s, or I guess early 20-teens, 2013, 2012, Fender had the American vintage hot rods. And some of those, including some artist models, I can't remember which ones, had these locking vintage style tuners. And they're very cool because they look like the F-style tuners, but the string goes in on the side of the barrel, and then as you hold it in place and you tighten the tuning knob, a cam comes up and locks it in place. And Josh might remember that from back in the day because we would do restrings and everyone would go like, how does this work? I'm like, it's so cool. Let me show you. Just hold the string, tighten it, it locks, it starts turning. It's very, very cool.
Really cool.
So you've got vintage looking, modern locking tuners, modern feeling neck, vintage inspired pickups, and then some cool switching.
Yes.
So this is a straightaway typical Strat setup. Of course, it's HSS, so there's your modern connection there. A hotter bridge pickup for you, those searing solos. And you have your typical 5-way switch. But you've got a push-pull to activate a coil split.
Oh yeah.
Your Teles are interestingly set up as well.
My Teles are so interesting that I got really carried away and didn't learn everything that I needed to learn before
playing
them in a demo.
That's okay. It's all in the hands.
Yeah. So basically, here's what's going on. These both have a 4-way switch, neck and bridge, obviously, but in between you have these in parallel and series. So it's cool. Typically that would be like in a lot of push-pulls, you get that parallel or series there, but you get them both as a choice here. And then if you pull out the tone knob, you can go out of phase when you're in either middle position.
Which gives you a really skinny, quacky sound.
And Chris is explaining how it would sound because you're not going to hear it in the demos because, again, I was too eager. But
can I tell you something?
Yeah.
The real money is the series position. I've got a Baja Tele that has these options on it, right?
Yeah.
And I like the series option. I very rarely, if ever, use the out of phase. It can sound cool.
Yeah.
If you put it in out of phase and you roll off the tone, you can get this really cool kind of woman tone that's going on.
Peter Green.
Yeah, it's very, very cool. But realistically, the one that gets used the most is this parallel versus series. And I explained that to someone the other day, and I finally had a good idea because we've talked about it before as like parallel is both on at the same time, in series is one gain staging through the other. And here's how I explained to someone, and if the light bulb went off, literally, it's like Christmas lights, okay? If you ever had Christmas lights where if one light went out, they all went out, that's series. So they're all going through the next one, and if one goes out, the other goes out. The way that works in a guitar is it's not just the sound of the neck pickup, it's the sound of the neck pickup going through the circuit of the bridge pickup, hitting the pots. That's series. It's a hotter sound. It's basically like a wide range humbucker. That's how a humbucker works. But parallel, which is your typical Tele sound, is they're both on at the same time, and they're both going separately to the pots and then out to the jack. And that's your Christmas lights where a light can go out and the rest of them are okay.
Well, that is seriously cool, man.
That's great. That's awesome. I like that. Keep more of that.
Yeah,
Keep it coming.
Guys. Yeah, sorry guys. But you know, if you want to hear a half-baked demo of these, let's get there now.
Or a full baked demo. Check it out. And there you have it. Except when it comes to out of phase, there you don't.
Yeah, if you want out of phase, if you're listening on your phone, run it through a half-cocked wah pedal, turn the volume down, and put it underwater. And that's what the out of phase sounds.
Do you know what this
like.
reminds me of? Do you ever read those books growing up? It was like you get to choose the path of the book.
I love those. Choose your own adventure.
Choose your own adventure. Yeah. So you're just giving them work to do while watching a YouTube demo.
No, it means that you got to like come in the store and try it for yourself.
This is the future of the metaverse right here. It's interactive. You don't get the full demo.
Chris actually isn't even here right now. We're doing this. It's hologram Chris, metaverse style.
The future is now.
Oh my gosh.
It's a sad future. Okay, so anyways, back to the guitars. Very cool guitars. Cooper, how much are they?
They're over $1,000.
About $1,200. I think it's $12.99 for the Tele. This one is $13.99, if I recall correctly, because you've got to pay more for two bobbins there versus the and there's a total of 4 pickups really.
Yeah.
So
the thing is,
but they do come with a gig bag.
You have a lot of really good options right now for this price range in a Fender guitar.
Yes.
Player Plus, American Performer, JV Modified. And they're all a little bit different. Like I think that the ultra modern version, that Player Plus, it's an excellent option. American Performer, vintage minded and really classically designed. And this fits right in the middle of those.
And the pricing's in line with where a lot of the Japanese stuff has been coming in anyway. So very cool guitars. I do believe they are only limited for this series, unless they sell like hotcakes. But I would venture to say and bet on if you want one, you need to get one sooner rather than later. Particularly with issues with getting guitars. It's been lots of fun.
I'm gonna have to race whoever it is to the Fire Mist Gold. I love that guitar. I had to hold this one and give it some more attention in this video. But
yeah, you do like he texted me a picture of the guitar. Like he was making his own little wallpaper to send me of the guitar.
Wallpaper stuff.
It was very cool.
That's not to say that these don't look awesome too, but these do look pretty old school to me. Yes. And that one's just a timeless look.
I love double bound Teles.
Double bound is the way to go, and you really can't get one in one of those other series.
Right. They are available in other finishes. I mostly ordered these because I think these are the best ones, and I'm right. So if you'd like more information about these guitars, go to our website. What's the web address, Cooper?
alamomusic.com. alamomusic.com. And don't go to the Wayback Machine and see what it looked like years ago, because that website was not good, but now it's a little bit better.
I'm just going to simply say I started in 2013. So if you do want to use Wayback Machine, you have a time reference.
Blame Patrick Marr from the Piano Channel?
That's
no
wrong.
Taste.
That's wrong. Go back far enough, you can't blame him.
He broke that guitar. He can handle it.
Anyways, alamomusic.com. We should come up with a jingle. There you go. And you can...
We're the Clef Brothers.
So you can check out all of the photos. You can also chat with someone and get more information. There's going to be some, at the time when we're filming this and the time these launch, there are some really cool finance options that are limited time. So that's all I'll say. So anyways, if you want more information, go there. If you're new to our channel, here's what you do. You click subscribe. This is interactive again. You turn on notifications and you click the like button. You comment below. You tell us how we did. You tell us how Cooper missed out on Parallel and how amazingly important that is to your musical future. Out of phase.
I do Parallel all day long.
Peter Green is rolling over in somewhere. So
it is green.
Anyways, thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.